Hello everyone and welcome back to the Podcasters Podcast. My name's Louie and today we are talking about how to find your target audience. So, did you know that in America, 47% of people listen to podcasts? Now, that is a massive chunk of people that you can attract and deal with and interact with and appeal to and all of that jazz, okay? But you don't want to appeal to everyone. In fact, if you make your podcast too mainstream, too approachable, to whatever, you'll end up not attracting anyone at all. People will just bounce off you. It will come across as too corporate or too clean or too whatever. You want to be able to find your niche. So a lot of things that we'll say when people are trying to start their podcast is you've got to nail down your audience. You've got to figure out what it is that you're going to do. So that's what I'm here today to try and jog your thoughts on, okay? It's all a little bit holistic, but hopefully I'll be able to guide you and maybe give you a few tools in order to figure it out, okay? So the first thing that I want to mention is, who are you? What are you doing? Okay, think about your podcast, think about your show. Maybe you've not started it yet. Maybe we can have a think about it. Are you an individual person? Are you, just you on your own with your business or with your life, showing me what you get up to? Are you an individual person? Maybe you want to be a host. Maybe you want to become a bit of a personality or something like that. That's one thing to consider. Are you a business? Are you working on behalf of a business, a bit like what I am doing right now? I'm representing a brand right here, so how does that factor into it? Do I need to take into consideration their audience and my audience and who I can appeal to and things like that? Are you working in-house or kind of out of house? So are you kind of doing things with people? Do you have to kind of take a lot into consideration? Are you going to be editing it? All of that stuff. So I think the main point there is individual or business. Who are you? What are you going to do? So once you've figured that out, you can then kind of figure out, well, okay, if it's me, what do I like and what do other people like and how can I find common ground? So connection and relationships is just built on common ground. What can I say that you are interested in that you will listen to me saying? So you've got to think about, what it is that you do. Is it knitting? Is it cars? Is it something creative? Is it something business related? Is it whatever? But what do you give and how can you connect with someone? Who would you naturally gravitate to in life? What circles do you find yourself in? What kind of friends do you have? And then expand it slowly into thinking, right, who else is out there that could be for me? Okay, think about that. So you want to start a podcast, but you don't know how. First of all, like and subscribe and have a look around the channel. There's lots of useful videos to help you on your way to starting, scaling, and thriving in your podcast career. Also, did you know that we run a 3-day event over here in Peterborough called the Podcast Profit System? Come join us in a room of like-minded individuals, meet the progressive team, learn how we do things, and there's a free lunch thrown in as well. All right, let's get back to the video. If you're working on the business side of things, obviously I've got to consider that side of things. What do they represent? Who are they aiming for? That kind of thing. So when I'm doing this right now, I've got to think about the Disruptive agency and think about, who are we shooting for? Who do we want? And what can I say to attract you guys? So if you think about audience, there's lots of ways to categorize audiences. Okay, you've got age, so how old they are. Are they young? Are they old? Are they in the middle? Obviously, with that comes a lot of other things. So, are they male, female, other? Are they working in a high-paid job, a low-paid job? Everything like that. What are their hobbies? What are their interests? What are their desires? All that psychoanalytical stuff, okay? And I think the way you target it depends on what it is that you're trying to do. If you think about it, older people have more money and they're a bit more mature and they're more interested in, I'm not too old, so I can't speak on their behalf or anything like that, but you can imagine the types of things that they're more into. Whereas younger people, maybe the TikTok generation, are more into other things. So how do you align with those sides? Or are you a bit more down the middle? The reason that I asked that question is because let's focus on age for a minute. Let's stick with age. Who you're aiming for depends on, what you're making and where you put it. So, if they're older, you probably want to be shooting for platforms like LinkedIn, like Instagram, like Facebook. Whereas if you're aiming for a younger audience, you probably want to put it on TikTok and Snapchat, maybe, I don't know, but think about where they exist. We have a lot of clients and we try and target where their content goes, but the problem is if you put a lead magnet out there onto TikTok and you're aiming for people to spend a lot of money on a high ticket item, they're not going to do that because you're appealing, you're on a platform that's dominated by 18 to 20-year-olds, even less, even higher. It's all that range. So I think an important thing to consider is obviously your platforms. Where are you putting stuff? But then that ties into what are you selling or promoting? If you're promoting yourself as a personality, think like Mr. Beast or something like that, go for it. TikTok, beautiful, amazing, or YouTube Shorts as well. If you're trying to sell a course or something educational, think about what that's targeted towards. If it's business, if it's any property, anything like that, then you want to be shooting for people with money, which is generally older people. So think about where you want to go with that. I think a lot of people underappreciate like forums and like Facebook groups and things like that for older people. Everyone's obsessed with TikTok because it's algorithm based, right? We love an algorithm. For those of you that don't know, an algorithm based platform is a platform in which you can put something on it and then it spits it out to loads of different people, regardless of whether they follow you or not. If the algorithm thinks that they will like your content, it will reach them, or it should reach them anyway. So you get this kind of natural growth through this algorithm that's constantly suggesting people your content. They are platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. Okay, so they are the algorithm-based platforms. However, other platforms are also okay to use. Things like your Facebook groups and maybe your Reddit threads and things like that. That's where you'll find the people that are closely knit. And obviously you have to manage, should you be advertising on these pages? Is that allowed? Things like that. But if you want to find a really niche group that are perhaps a bit more mature, don't rule out those platforms. Okay, so really think about it. So that all ties into your audience. Where are you going to put it? Also, think about, to go deeper into the monetization route of things. If you're trying to sell a course or if you're trying to sell yourself, or what is it that you're trying to push, promote, whatever, think about that. Again, I'll reiterate, if you're trying to sell something that's really expensive, don't put it on a platform that has kids with no money on it. Because you won't get any return on that. It's a bit silly. Put it out there if you want to get exposure and kind of boost your personal brand, but think about everything else as well. Don't waste too much time trying to post on everything. Platforms are kind of in competition with each other, so pick a couple and just stick to it. So, there's lots of tools that you can use to kind of pin down your audience, if you like. One that I've found is called Raphonic Graph on the internet, and it's this really neat visual tool where you can see, it takes your podcast, so it has to exist already, which is a shame, but it takes your podcast that exists and it creates this really interesting visual kind of spider diagram in 3D space about where those listeners are then going. The people that listen to your podcast, where else did they go? What else did they listen to? And then you can kind of copy and imitate the other podcasts to kind of boost yours, or maybe you can get in touch with them, things like that. So I recommend that. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. One thing to mention though, however, is, if you found yourself in a bit of a rut and you feel like you're not reaching the right people, do feel free to pivot, make a switch, do something different. Don't feel like you're locking yourself into a hole. Feel like you can experiment with platforms, with people, talk to people, all of that jazz. I think it's really important to actually connect properly with your audience. I mentioned this briefly in the last episode, but these people sit behind the camera. They're not in the room with me right now. They're at home, in the bath, on the toilet, doing whatever. Send them messages, interact, engage, talk to them, meet up with them in real life. Not in a creepy way, but just, try and arrange meetups and gatherings and take it out of the digital space into the real world, because the real world is where real deals happen. It doesn't all happen over the internet, over a Facebook chat. It will happen in the real world over a coffee or in real life. You know what I mean? So try and bring your audience into the room with you. Okay. So like, I always like to end things with a thing that you can do to kind of advance your podcasting journey. And the thing I'm going to suggest that you do right now is create an audience profile. And this doesn't have to be anything fancy. It literally just takes a notepad and a pen. Just write down because, there can be two different aspects. 2 people that would listen to your show, or at least 2 people that you want to attract. Give them a name. Make it up, but give them a name. That's fun, right? Give them an age, give them a gender, give them an occupation, give them a hobby. Tell me what they do in their life. The more detail you can go into here, the more avenues you'll be able to find to connect with them. Because I'll repeat what I said earlier, relationships are all just about common connection. So connect with these imaginary people and then project that into everything that you do. And hopefully on the other side of these cameras, you will find a real group of people that you can then connect with in the real world. All right, there you go. That's what you need to do. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to work with us in any way, shape or form, check out the link in the description down below. I've been Louie. Thank you for watching. See you next time.